When it comes to distracting devices, we're going to talk about driving devices or in-cab technology that you use. So the federal regulations limits the use of electronic devices by drivers that's driving the commercial motor vehicles. And this is to help reduce and avoid or prevent any types of accidents. You can check that in part 392, subpart H. And that's according to the FMCSRs, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. The common personal devices that happens in distracted driving are texting and cell phone use. So when it comes to texting, a common driving distraction, when you're texting or anyone texting, that is a common distraction. So commercial motor vehicles drivers, CMV drivers, are not allowed to text while driving. And that's in section 392.80. That's according to the FMCSRs. Now, the activity is considered as texting and driving. So according to the FMCSRs, the activity that is considered as texting and driving would be driving with the motor running or engine running. If the vehicle is temporary in station or stationary because of traffic, if the vehicle is stopped at a traffic control device, such as a stop sign, red light, traffic light, etc., or if the vehicle is in other monetary delays. Note, texting combines all three of the common types of distractions, visual, physical, and mental, and also even listening, because your eyes are off the road, your hands are off the steering wheel, and your mind is off driving. It is just as dangerous as driving with a blood alcohol level of 0.8% or driving under the influence of DUI, because each of these distractions limits your ability. Just like blood alcohol level concentration, if you have that level of 0.8%, that is just the same, because it limits, these distractions limits, it impairs you, and it limits your ability to actually be aware of what's going on. And it limits you from actually driving and safely operating that vehicle. So that's why it's very important to know about laws, regulations, and to safely operate your vehicle. Now, cell phone use, commercial motor vehicle drivers cannot reach for, hold, dial, or answer any handheld mobile device while driving. And that's according to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations in section 392.82. Now, these restrictions applies to driving on the highway or being stopped with the motor vehicle or with the engine running in traffic. So if you're in traffic, you're not allowed to have a hold, dial, or answer any handheld device, whether you're on the road driving, if the engine is on, or whether you're in traffic. Now, there are some cell phone use exceptions, though. So drivers are allowed to use hand-free electronic device, which is a feature that's on cell phones, if a driver must be attentive, answer, or terminate or end a call by touching a single button. So for example, ELD, electronic login devices, are an example. You can use that because you're either pressing a button to end. So that is acceptable as part of the exception. Now, the earpiece, speaker, phone, or voice activated dialing are allowed. So you have a headset as an example, speaker phone, or if it's a voice activated dialing, so it calls automatically, then that is allowed. Exception is using a mobile phone and texting only when it's necessary to communicate with law enforcement officials or other emergency services. In other words, it's allowed if you're calling the police, law enforcement, if you're calling 911, if you need an emergency contact. That is when a mobile cell phone or texting use is allowed. Now, there are penalties and consequences if you use a handheld device or texting while driving a commercial motor vehicle. This is crucial. A driver can be disqualified for 60 days if convicted of 2 violations in a 3-year period. And 3 violations can disqualify a driver for 120 days in a 3-year period. So you have to note that a driver can also be fined if convicted of these violations. So just being respectfully responsible, knowing that if you are convicted, meaning if you're caught, if a judge makes that ruling that says that you are in violation of these laws and regulations, then that's what they mean by being convicted. State requirements. In addition to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, there are other state laws and regulations for all types of vehicles in all states. So you have to understand and know the requirements for the areas that you are traveling in. Hey, BET Trainer here. Listen, if you really had true value out of this video, go ahead and click that like button and share some honest comments about this video, because this is going to help other people as well see the video and get the value information, so that way they can be inspired by what you're doing right now as well. So also, if you want to get the latest updates, go ahead and click the subscribe button, so then you can be able to always be updated on the next instant video that will be put out. So again, go ahead and do that. And this video was sponsored by BET Life Services and CDL for Life.